Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and I'm back. I'm still alive, don't worry. Sorry it's been a while since my last few videos. The last couple of weeks have been kind of crazy, mostly because last week I got sick and had a terrible sore throat, and it was pretty bad for like the entire week. And then at like the start of this week I got better, but I was losing my voice, and my voice was just sounding very scratchy and just very bad. You can still hear a little bit of it right now. It's still not perfect, but it's the best I could do for right now. And I kept trying to get better like throughout this week, just so I can shoot this video, but it just wasn't sounding good. And I'm like, there's no way I could spend like a 10 to 15 minute video like talking like this. But I'm here, and I'm here to play catch up on Ash vs. Evil Dead. Because, of course, since I've been gone, there's been a few episodes that have aired, and I haven't talked about any of them. But that's going to change, because today we're talking about Episode 6 of Season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, titled Tales from the Rift. This is the episode that really kicks off the last half of the season, and really shows us where the plot is going. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens in there, a lot of fun stuff. And I do have some issues with it. I have some problems that I'll get to. But for the most part, it's a really solid, really entertaining episode with some memorable moments. This episode begins with Ruby in her house, and her Ash clone Deadite baby thing is now growing. He's in this almost like cocoon type of thing. Ruby's all like, soon I can unleash you, soon we can destroy Ash. And I'm just like, okay, that's really interesting. I wonder what that's going to grow into. And then she hears some noises come from downstairs, goes downstairs, and gets immediately blasted by a shotgun from Kelly, who's there to confront her and kill her once and for all. And that's basically, there's two main storylines going on in this episode. You have the whole Kelly versus Ruby confrontation, and then you have the storyline with Ash. We're picking up from the end of the previous episode. Him and Brandy are going home. Brandy's now like on their side, and they get inside, and that's kind of leads to one of my problems, is that I feel like they kind of rushed it a little bit, and Ash and Brandy are way too, like, buddies now. Like, I know at the end of the last episode, she now believes him, and she now, like, is with him, but they're acting like they've been friends this entire time, like, they're, like, goofing around a little bit and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, kind of rushing a little bit, but fine, I'll go with it. And then he gets a knock on the door from these people who are the Knights of Sumaria. And just like Dalton, they're in awe of Ash. Like, oh my god, it's the prophesized one. They're bowing to him and everything. And of course, Ash just doesn't care. He's like, yeah, guys, come on, let's just move on. I've already had to deal with this with Dalton. Just whatever. And he reveals that, he has the lost pages. There's a good reference to Annie from Evil Dead 2, where he's like, yeah, the last person that read those pages got a knife in her back. And I'm like, that's great. I like that. And he tells him about the writing that's on the wall in the cellar of his store. So they're on their way to go to that cellar to take a look at the writing that's on the wall. And on the way there, they kind of explain what's going on a little bit. And like kind of the leader of the group explains that like Ruby is working with this character Kaya, who was the person that Ruby was talking to in a couple episodes back, like through the book. And they were able to basically like hide the dark ones, like send them away. But if they open up a rift, those dark ones will be free and will destroy the world. So they need to get into the deadlands, basically, to stop it. That's their plan, is to open up this rift, get into the deadlands, and stop evil once and for all. And Ash is just like, that's a terrible idea. I don't want to deal with this. They keep talking about, going in to fight them, and the entire time he's like, or we don't have to, or we can do this. And for the most part, I like that. I did have a little bit of issue with Ash. I don't know what it is. Like, I know people have had problems with Ash, like, in this show in general, just being, like, a complete idiot and more of a caricature. And I've never really had that problem, but I felt like in those first few scenes with him interacting with the Knights of Sumaria, it felt like every line was this kind of, like, dim-witted kind of, like, idiot type of response. I don't know what it was, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit. It sounds weird that it took me this long to be kind of annoyed by like Ash's character, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me being nitpicky. But granted, he does have some great lines, like when they're like, "Oh, we get the prophesized one who'll have the book, and we'll stop all this." And he's like, hypothetically, what if I didn't have the book? And they're like, "You don't?" And he's like, hypothetically. Okay, no, I don't. And then, like, I like that bit. Or at the end when they're inside the cell where he's talking, he's like, "Hey, I don't want to do this, I'm 50-something years old." So Ash still has some great lines, despite my little issues with this character. And so they get to the cellar, they see the writing on the wall, and the leaders are like, oh my god, this can open up the rift. And I love this moment. Ash just goes, wait a second, like, I have opened rifts before, and it didn't end well. And it cuts the footage from Evil Dead 2 of the portal opening, him falling through, and him falling into medieval times. So it's another reference to Army of Darkness, which are very few and far between ever since like they got the rights back in Season 2. Season 1 they couldn't reference it at all. So they've been subtly referencing it since Season 2, like he mentioned it like once in Season 2, and I love that. I just see the kind of like the clever loophole they did by showing the footage from Evil Dead 2 of him in medieval times, not actually from Army of Darkness, which I always kind of thought, why didn't they do that? Like, why were they not able to actually reference him going back to medieval times, since he did do that in Evil Dead 2, and they do own that movie? I always found that kind of weird, but whatever, I love that moment. Like, I know it's just a callback to a previous movie, but I don't know, something about it just, like, felt awesome. And it's also cool because it shows Ash's concern. Like, this is the one with a few kind of dramatic moments where he's just like, yeah, I've done that before and it was not good. Maybe we should just stop, while we can. So we cut back to the trailer, and Pablo's in there. He's looking through this box of stuff that he got from the Brujo. And I guess with his new Brujo Especial powers, he kind of senses where Ash is at and what's going on with him. So he runs over to him. And while that's going on, Ruby and Kelly are having their big fight scene, which, as a sequence, is really well done. It's really well shot, really well choreographed. It's a really fun scene. But I have some issues with the storyline-wise. Like, I don't know, I don't feel like Kelly would just go confront Ruby by herself. I know she has the dagger and everything, so she has a means to kill her. But the fact that she's immortal, which makes her super powerful, and she's confronting her by herself, I thought was kind of dumb. And I don't know, I kind of out of character. Like, I know she's kind of fueled by revenge, but I feel like she should be smart enough to know not to confront Ruby by herself, because it probably won't end well. So that kind of annoyed me, but once I kind of got past that, I just kind of started enjoying the scene for what it is. And like I said, for what it is, it's very fun. There's a lot of like awesome bits in there. I love the part where Kelly throws the grenade at Ruby and it goes off, and you see Ruby lying there, like her legs and like arms are missing, but they start just kind of crawling back to her and forming like back together. I love that bit. I thought that was really good. I love the first shot there after Kelly blows her with a shotgun and blows like her eye out. And you see Ruby kind of crawling away, and her face kind of crawls into the camera, and the camera kind of moves through the hole in her eye to continue on the shots. Like, I thought that was awesome. Like, I thought that was a really well done shot. And I like this scene, and there was some good stuff in there. Like, I love Kelly, like, referencing her parents that got killed, like, back in Season 1, and saying how, like, everything just keeps going wrong, and, like, she wants to stop Ruby for screwing everything up and, like, ruining Pablo. And then you get to the final bit where Ruby has the dagger now, and Kelly lunges at her and ends up getting impaled by the dagger and dying. Now, it's a well done death scene, though I can't get emotionally invested because I'm like, yeah, she's probably not dead. I'm just saying, I have a feeling she'll come back by the end of the season. Same thing happened with Pablo last season. So it's kind of a problem with the show in general, is they can't really get like emotionally invested in possible deaths of main characters. Side characters, yes, side characters die all the time. If you're a new supporting character coming into like a new season of the show, you're going to be dead by the end. But, the main core cast, kind of hard to really be invested, but it was a well done death scene. I did thought it was like, well, it was well acted, it was pretty good, and would have had some great weight to it if we thought she was going to actually die. But Ruby, seeing that, Kelly's lying there with the dagger inside her, notices that that's a perfect vessel for Kaya to come back in. So Ruby reads a spell from the book, and now Kaya has possessed Kelly's body. And I like that. That's a really interesting plot progression. Like I said, this episode seems to be really pushing the story forward for what we're going to see for the next 3 episodes. And the whole Kelly being possessed thing is interesting. It's something different than we haven't seen in the previous seasons. So I like that, and I'm interested to see where that goes. So we cut back to Ash and the Knights of Sumaria in the cellar. Pablo runs in, and he sees all the writing on the wall, walks over to it, like kind of puts his hands on it, and is able to read everything, and ends up opening up the rift. So the guy's standing outside the rift, and just gets pulled in by something. Then gets thrown out, and they're like, okay, this doesn't seem good. Like, Ash is all like cautious, like, okay, this is not going to go well. And one of the guy in the Knights of Sumaria goes to help up the guy. He helps him up, and their arms start fusing together. And the one guy who just came from the rift is now possessed, of course. Not a shocker there. And he starts kind of fusing with the one guy. He kind of turns into like a thing-esque creature where the head of the guy is like sticking out the side of him. It's like really cool. I love like the design of this creature. It's really funny because that's just right out of the thing. It's so awesome. And one other guy starts to fight him, and he literally takes the dude's head, rips it out of the body, like including the spinal cord. He goes all like Predator on him. And I love that bit. I love this whole fight sequence at the end. It's just really cool. It felt like Evil Dead 2 style, like Ash. It felt like a badass Ash moment. I really like it. There's even a moment where he has to, click his arm into the chainsaw, because, Pablo picks up the chainsaw, goes to, fight the guy, but the chainsaw gets stuck in the ceiling. So Ash is, fighting, trying to outmaneuver the creature. He ends up, sliding under him, taking off the hand, and putting his arm in the chainsaw. Now that's something we've seen many times before on the show. It's not really a new thing, but for some reason the way it was done in this episode just came off as awesome and very badass. But during that whole fight scene, basically that creature kills everybody in the Knights of Sumaria except for the leader girl. The Knights of Sumaria don't seem as, strong or as badass as they probably should be. They also seem very clueless. I guess that's kind of one issue, is that, I think I mentioned it in my review of the first episode, that Dalton's part of a fan base of Ash, and because I kind of misinterpreted it. But I feel like I was kind of right in that, because they don't really seem very knowledgeable of much. They know some information about the book, but they don't know anything about fighting them, which I guess they haven't had experience with it, but I don't know, they don't seem very effective as characters. So after all that excitement, Ash rushes home to Brandy to make sure she's okay. He gets home, everything's all good, and then Kelly walks in. She's, I got the dagger and everything, and Ash is like, oh, it's great, awesome, glad you're here. Everything's normal, but it's not, and that's where the episode ends. Overall, I really like this episode. Like I said, I had some issues with some things, with some character stuff, mostly. But I like the storyline. I like all the stuff in the cellar. I like the awesome fight scene. And I like the fight scene between Kelly and Ruby, despite the fact that it didn't really make a whole lot of sense plot-wise. It kind of felt out of character. But the fight scene itself was really entertaining and very well handled. And if they do actually follow through on actually killing off Kelly, it's not a bad way for her to go out. It kind of works. It's kind of effective. But, I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt it is. There's no real stakes with that happening. But if it does happen, I'll give him props for that. Like I said, it's overall a very entertaining episode, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here, storyline-wise. So yeah, that's episode 6 of Season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And that's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.